Hey, yeah, so this is Mateo, by the way, my little rescue cat. Um, so yeah, it's kind of been an interesting change lately where I'm I have no idea what's going to happen next. I don't plan things. I mean, sometimes I do, but more and more often the idea of planning in advance doesn't come up, I guess. It's just like you're just walking through the day blindly, utterly blindly. I mean, of course, in a sense, we all are. It's just in our mind that we think that we know exactly what's going to happen. It's a thought or an image, concept, conception. Oh, yeah, this is going to happen, and this, and then this, and then this. And, I mean, obviously, you reach decision points, but then it's just like subconsciously you sort of seem to know how the day is going to go or what you're going to do next. And more often, I don't have any idea what I'm going to do. And I genuinely just I'm surprised by what happens next. That supposedly I have control, but and kind of approaching it from the other direction, um, and I lost my train of thought. Didn't know that was gonna happen. Um, but yeah, on the one hand, you don't know what's gonna happen next. Yep, lost it. Oh well. And that's the thing too. Like if things don't go the way that I want or hope or expect, or because of course, you have a little bit of a some idea of how the video is gonna go. And if it doesn't go that way, it's like, oh well, okay, this is what happened, and that's it. And that can sound like defeatist or yeah, I don't know, like, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels more like honest. Like when I left went to a weekend meditation retreat here in Oklahoma, and when I got 5 miles down the road, I realized, on the way home, I realized, oh, my water bottle's not here, and it's a nice one. I've had it for a long time. I like it. So I turned around, went 5 miles back, and got the water bottle, and came 5 miles, you know, back the other way. And ordinarily, it would have been like, "Ah, dang it. Oh, it's such a waste of time." The whole, like, you know, fighting with reality that we so often habitually do. And instead, it's like, well, I have a choice right now. Do I keep going home, or do I go back and get the bottle? Well, I'd rather have the bottle. It's worth 15 minutes of wasted time and gas to get my bottle back. So I'll do that. Um, because those are my choices. That was it. Like what's the theoretical thing that happened when I didn't forget the water bottle? It's completely irrelevant. Um, so why feel anything about that choice that doesn't exist here and now? You know, it's quite liberating. Um, so yeah, let me read the little passage I wrote that I think is about as well as I'm going to put it, uh, without just riffing right now, and then I'll do some more riffing. So I wrote this on a non-dual sharing Facebook group. I've been exploring the idea of just doing what I feel like, even if it's not super spiritual, even if it's not super smart. Smart. It's not like I sit around eating Cheetos and playing video games all day. I don't particularly feel like doing that. But when I'm faced with a decision point, I don't overthink it. Or if I do overthink it, I don't overthink that, or judge or agonize. It's just what happened. It's been drilled into my psyche that if I just do what I feel like, something terrible will happen. I can't trust myself. I'll go to hell and the world will go to hell if I don't do things right. And, non-dual teaching can subtly reinforce that. It says, oh, you can't trust your small self, your conditioning. And yet you're kind of stuck with that until enlightenment, apparently. So how can I trust anything? It can just make me agonize and second guess even more, and with more conviction than when I was laboring under religious brainwashing I was born into and didn't choose. I'm supposedly choosing this non dual path via my own intuition, so it carries more weight. But some of the old conditioning clearly remains, a sense that I can't do anything right. I don't know what to do, or how to do it, or how to find out. I'm supposed to put my trust in a higher power that feels nebulous at best. This is how my psyche tries to frame things anyway. So finally, I'm starting to get more out of my head about it, more into life. Just pick something, or don't. It's just what's happening. It won't fit anyone's conception of perfect. If a genuine mistake is made, then you have a new decision point. You can only deal with that when it arises. That's it. If I want to sit, if I want to meditate, I sit. If I want to watch a silly TV show, I watch it. If I'm feeling a strong urge or internal pressure to clean the kitchen, I clean it. If I don't, the pressure will eventually build enough that it gets done. If I want to defy a publisher I'm editing for in favor of the author, I do that. I just do it. What happens, happens. It might not sound like much, but things just flowing along without so much friction, judging, second guessing, and so on feels like a pretty profound practice in itself, even if very little of it looks spiritual. So, obviously, or maybe not obviously, I don't know. Seems clear to me, but for me, before I did a lot of shadow work, this would have been completely impossible. I mean, it can be scary enough now and lead to backlashes even now. Because you just feel like, you just feel like you're free falling. You just like your stomach feels like it's not even there. You feel like you're not there, which, more and more I feel like that too. Like, this whole delivery system that you can see on the screen, that I can see on the screen right now. I have no idea what that is. And a few wheels are trying to turn right now, but I can't sort of get a hold of any of it. It's just like thoughts halfway arise and then they're gone again before you can even register them. And that can be scary. That can feel ungrounding. It can feel psychotic even. So how do I know it's the right thing to do? I don't know anything. How do I know anything is the right thing to do? So I wrote, who knows, I may run into a brick wall at some point. If so, maybe that'll be a teaching too. I just don't know. And I'm getting more comfortable not knowing, even if it makes my stomach feel rather funny sometimes. And kind of, building on that, I had a thought the other day. I want to be a kind person. I think it's pretty. I mean, I think humans kind of know kind when they see it, and it's something that some part of us aspires to. Could be wrong, but that seems like, some people aren't lucky enough to get to that point. Some people feel like they're in survival mode their entire lives. And kindness, the idea of kindness is a total luxury. It seems like a total luxury. I get that. But all of our literature, all of our poetry, most of it points to a longing for kindness. And so, me too, I want to be a kind person, right? But here's the thing, how do I know what kindness looks like? I mean, it can look different ways, put that way. Um, it can look like a parent expressing disappointment. Not necessarily, but it can probably. It can look like a Zen master whacking somebody over the head with a stick. It can look like, you get the point, all kinds of different ways. So I wrote, maybe I don't have to be kind in any particular way I envision, like, solicitous or hospitable or, basically nice. We tend to, especially women in our culture, we tend to equate kindness with niceness, and they're not necessarily the same thing. So, I said maybe I have a different style. Because I mean that's the fear of going with the flow is, what if my flow is not kind? What if my flow is cosmic asshole, because you don't know what's going to happen next, so you don't have control over it. So that's an easy fear or doubt to latch onto. So, I said maybe Ramana Maharshi wasn't kind or nice in that way or politically active. Maybe I don't have to be some kind of cookie cutout image of a lovey-dovey parent. Maybe I'll be a different kind of parent. Maybe I'll be a goofy parent. I don't know. Maybe I'll be there's been, like Atticus Finch. Um, I think you could call him a good father. And but not necessarily in the mold of everybody's how everybody thinks of a good father. So yeah, maybe there are other kinds of parents who are equally valid. Maybe I don't have to be terrified that I'm not like some image I have in my head. It seems pretty self-evident when you say it, but it's tough to let go of to feel like you're letting go of kindness, even grasping kindness or grasping at some image of kindness, right? Even that can be a kind of, of blockage or evil, not evil, whatever. Sin, as in missing the mark. Maybe it's even a sin of arrogance or pride, wanting to control what kind of person I am when instead of letting the universe work through me. But there was a pretty striking example of the kind of I'm going to move without an agenda, without a plan. when everybody after the last evening meeting met up around the a fire on the porch, and part of me wanted to join them, part of me wanted to go to bed, part of me wanted to go look at the stars. And so I just, put on my shoes and started walking and found myself walking down the road by myself to look at the stars. Got to a certain place on the road and there was some rustling in the underbrush, probably a possum or armadillo or something. But it was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to go back home now. So I turned around, and I was kind of looking up at the sky most of the time. Jupiter was really bright, and I saw the Pleiades and Cassiopeia, and I was just thinking, like, I do this sometimes, like asking for a sign, like show me a pretty meteor or something, um, if you want to. You don't have to, but that'd be cool. But I went walking, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. No meteors. Like, okay, I get it. It's okay. There's still so many stars. I'm happy with what I've got. Um, and then I went into the kind of the lounge area close to the porch where everyone was gathered, and got distracted by books, and I started reading The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. And then I don't know, I found myself walking out to the porch just as kind of the meeting was breaking up and somebody had been playing the guitar and then they stopped, and most people kind of wandered off, and I was like, okay, well, here we are. And somebody was talking about the Pleiades and how, oh, that's probably, like low on the horizon or already set or something. And I was like, no, the Pleiades are right there. And and then someone else was like, oh, and that's Venus. And I was like, well, no, Venus set with the sun. That's Jupiter, probably. And Mrs. Know It All here. Can't help myself sometimes. Um, and then as I was sort of looking down to like sort of come up with some kind of chit chat or something, they were like, ooh, because a meteor just went straight across where they were looking between Jupiter and the Pleiades, right? And I missed it. And I'm like, oh, well, you sent it, but I missed it. Is there a message there? Maybe just, you don't get to see everything. So, uh, and again, I wasn't kind of bummed. I wasn't too bummed out. It's just like, yeah, I get it. There's no one person that gets to see everything. I'm glad they got to see it. Um, and then Janice, she's like, oh man, the stars, they have so much to tell us. And just then there was this like, oh, and we looked and there was this, it was like a group of, I don't know, 7 asteroids or sorry, meteors, and sparkles all around them, right? And it was traveling like uh, across the sky and, close to where the moon was, and then beyond the moon, and then behind some trees. Just like a firework, but like nothing I'd ever seen in my life. And we were all just like, what is that? And then all of us had our own moment of like, is this the end of the world? Like, or is that UFOs? Like, is this nuclear war? Like, is this a serious asteroid? Is that what serious asteroids look like that actually hit the Earth? And we were all quite um, relieved as it started to fade. And it was several seconds of just like this most spectacular celestial event that looked absolutely nothing like anything I'd ever seen in my life. Uh, and I was like, all right, then, you know, cool, thanks. Uh, I mean, if I had been there earlier, I probably would have gotten tired and gone in with everybody else, right? But since I wandered out at the very end, I was like, oh, might as well stick out, you know. So, like, spoiler alert, it wasn't a celestial event. It was Starlink, obsolete Starlink satellites breaking up. Um, my cats are going at it, if you're wondering. Um, Still pretty awesome. I'm still really grateful I was able to see it. But and at least it makes sense now. Like it was not making any sense. Like meteors don't go that slow. Uh, relatively slow. Um, what I said was, was it some kind of comet or something that was sort of orbiting along with the Earth, and that's why it was so relatively slow. But anyway, no, just I mean, in a sense, it was. I mean, that's it was a satellite, so it wasn't something coming from interplanetary space at lightning fast speeds. So yeah, that makes sense now. But she's trying to eat thumbtacks. Get out of here. Silly cats. So yeah, I mean, like, whatever. I was pleased with how things worked out. Even pleased with having that moment to read a little bit of C.S. Lewis, because now I want to read those books to my kids. And they have Christian sort of undertones, obviously, but I think in a really nice way. Because there's some truth in every tradition, and I think he captured some nice things, and they're just rip roaring stories. I really really enjoyed them as a kid. Some of them, some more than others. And I often think of that the scene with the was it a church where all the animals that don't believe are kind of like stuck in the church, and all the animals that do believe can just step outside of it into paradise. And yeah, I think of that. I mean, that's an excellent metaphor for non-dual, where we're all enlightened, but we imagine these boxes and then we live in them. So it's quite a good image metaphor to have in your head. I think I could be wrong about everything at all times. What can you do about just keep doing the next thing? Adyashanti says the damn thing drives itself, and it's funny. It's kind of funny how, I mean, it's true. You just sit back and see, like, okay, what's going to happen next? And similar thing happened after breakfast. Like normally I have tea after breakfast, but it was a beautiful day, and I was like, maybe I'll walk. I wonder where. And just see where my feet took me, and they just kept taking me toward the labyrinth up on the hill over the lake. And the day before, I had been hiking in the woods and kind of, communing with between my dead father and my, one of my deep exiles. And so I walked the labyrinth just with my mind very blank. And when I got to the middle, I just squatted down, and there on the like sunning himself on the rock in the center of the labyrinth was a daddy long legs. And I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, these synchronicities, like, is it like when you buy a 2016 gray Toyota Corolla and all of a sudden you see them everywhere, and synchronicities are just like when you're in a certain headspace, you see them everywhere. Maybe they're always there. I don't know. Maybe they're never there. Maybe it's a spider is just a spider, whatever the hell Daddy Long Legs is. It's fun anyway. It's kind of pretty. Why not? So yeah, uh, been experimenting with that. And what I want to happen, or I mean, sometimes there's times when I'm like, oh, I kind of wish X had happened and it didn't happen. Um, but it didn't. So there you go. I mean, what can you say about it? It happened or it didn't. You know. Ah, yeah. I can. It can feel very. After you do it a while, you're like, you just start to like, give me a lifeboat, okay? Give me a life preserver. Um, Give me something to hang on to for a little while because yeah, it's scary. It's not what most people are used to. And I found even when you know, I tend toward socially awkward. I just don't get the memo that everybody else gets somehow. And I'm finally to a point where it's like if I make things awkward, okay, things are awkward. Or maybe somebody might judge it as awkward. Like that's okay. It, everybody's going to move on. you know, it's not something you need to dwell on. If I'm constantly awkward and some people don't want to be with me, then that's fine. They be with somebody else. Like this is it. This is what you get. If you don't want it, fine. There's lots of other options. Um, but I used to like ruminate and perseverate and agonize over like, should I have said that? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I make it? Did they think this or that? And more, it's like there might be a little bit of a gut punch feeling sometimes when I'm like, "Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have said that." Um, but if I feel like I should apologize, I apologize. And if it was just a little gaffe or whatever, move on. Who cares? If they want to judge me or if they don't want, yeah, don't want to have anything to do with me because of a gaffe, okay, no problem. Yeah, it's a new way of life, and it's going to take some getting used to. And it just feels like you've been dragging these ropes or grasping these ropes, and it just kind of burns your hand, and you just let go, and you just propelled forward. Like, whoa, 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 okay, what's going on here? Like, I've got nothing to hold on to. But you never needed to hold on to anything. All it ever did was burn your hand. But it still takes time. It takes some getting used to. That's what I'm finding. So yeah, it takes time. It takes practice, and and then sometimes you fall back, and sometimes you need to make plans. Like tomorrow, there's things I need to do for other people depending on me. and um, and I'll do that, and that's fine too. That's what happened. So, cheers.